Fight on, family. Preston's Paradise here, and we are 9 days away, baby, from seeing our USC Trojans take the field in the Coliseum against Missouri State, man. And I couldn't be any more excited. Just a quick fall update, man. A lot of interesting and cool things I noticed this week during camp. Listened to a lot of player interviews, watched a couple instant analysis videos from USC football, Trevino and Morissette, and picked up on a few things. I was tweeting this week. I put out a couple tweets. I'm going to kind of dive into my thought processes, a couple of things I put out, and some of the observations I made this week. But want to start off first with somebody we haven't heard from this fall, USC right guard prospect Alani Noah. We saw Alani Noah, play pretty well in the offensive line on the right side at that right guard position last season. He went through his bumps and bruises, had to kind of figure it out, seeing his first full season of play last season. But by the end of the season, he was playing a lot more consistently, seemed like he knew exactly what he was doing on that offensive line. But Alani Noah, I tweeted this out yesterday actually, looking lean and mean at around 305 pounds. He has shed a bunch of weight, ladies and gentlemen. He looks strong. He looks muscular. You can kind of just see his muscles, given the interview there, man. Looks to be in great shape. I'm very interested to see how the change in physique affects his play and affects his consistency, right? A lot of times maybe Alani seemed to, not get off the ball as quick as he needed to, kind of lag, and defensive players were kind of able to take advantage of that at snap, with the snap count and whatnot, kind of jump it a little bit. And that happened, with a lot of our offensive line, particularly on the right side of the ball, on the right side of the offensive line last season. That player is no longer on our roster at the right tackle spot that played a lot for us last season. But, man, I'm super excited for Alani Noah, man. I think he's really going to see, we're really going to see improvement from him on that right guard spot this upcoming season. And I think this is a great change, man. He seems to be strong, a lot more light-footed, and obviously the mental aspect is going to be even better with him having one season under his belt at that right guard spot. So very happy for Alani, and let's see how he attacks this season. I also listened to USC defensive coordinator Dan Lynn speak on how improved USC cornerback Braylon Conley has been in this fall camp. He talked about the fact that Braylon Conley came on campus as a very young player making plays, but struggled with the consistency, right? Struggled to consistently show up, make plays, and be in the right spot. And he's improved a lot, and he's really had a good camp. And then also news came out last week from Denton Lynn that he really talked about Alex Graham being an extremely mature player, right? Compared him to Kamari Ramsey from the head up, and really just talked about how mature he is as a player, how he's always in the right spot. So this is great news, especially when you're talking about an incoming freshman. One guy that I personally know that is very high and has been very high on Alex Graham as well is my buddy Paulie Walnuts. Talked about this same exact stuff, how, when it comes to the head up, the kid is extremely mature. I was having a conversation yesterday, a few days ago with Paulie, and I talked about the fact of, Alex Graham is very mature. Now, why is Alex Graham so mature? We talked about the fact of this is a kid that was playing football in Detroit, Michigan, flew across the country to play football at IMG Academy, right? So he was spending time living by himself, being a man as a high schooler, right? So I think that's why you see a kid like Alex Graham come in early and really show so much promise, is because he's kind of lived a quasi, college experience as a high school athlete already, being able to, go and play football at a whole nother program across the country. And very interesting and very excited about the promise that Alex Graham, Braylon Conley both bring to the table as two young DBs. Let's not forget about Marcellus Williams as well, man. We got a lot of talent. Very excited to see how these kids perform. When it comes to Dan Lynn, when it comes to Belk, they preach versatility. So we're going to see a lot of these guys fly all across. It may be a nickel, it may be a cornerback. Obviously, Prophet Brown went down. So we may see these guys at various positions in the secondary. But nonetheless, man, super excited for the depth of this secondary, the youth of this secondary, the athleticism and the talent of a lot of our young DBs. All right, so now let's talk some tight ends. Last week, via instant analysis, there was news that came out that Walter Matthews was working with the offensive line group. Now, he wasn't blocking, or pushing the sled or anything like that, but he was holding pads and, working with the offensive linemen during their drills. So there were speculations, man. Is this guy transitioning to offensive lineman? He was still rocked the number 23. Or is this guy just practicing blocking drills? We know blocking is an integral part of being a tight end. You're kind of between an offensive lineman and a wide receiver. That's a position. It's a very unique position, one of my favorite positions on the field. And when I kind of heard this information, I was like, man, I tweeted this out. I was like, if Walter Matthews becomes old lineman, man, just because the dimensions of Walter Matthews at 6'6", 270, 280 pounds, looking at Rob Gronkowski dimensions, man, and he is a light-footed kid, man. Just look at his high school tape. And we haven't had an opportunity of seeing him line up at the tight end position since he's been on campus. Like, we just haven't seen it. Now, I don't know why that is. I'm not at practice. I don't know what's going on at practice. I don't know, what kids are doing in the classroom or in the film room or whatever. You can speculate that on your own. I'm not saying anything. I just know a great athlete when I see it. And we also do have some great tight ends in the room, but I just tweeted this out because I would like to see the kid get opportunity at the tight end position. But yesterday, man, I heard the best news I have heard all week. The fact that at the end of practice, they were working on some jumbo sets with Walter Matthews in there on the right side of the line. And I think Lake McCree was in there. There was a bunch of different sets. There were sets with Walker Lyons. There were sets with Lake McCree, and Walter Matthews was in there as well. They were doing jumbo sets. And I am so excited, man, because this is exactly what I want to hear, exactly what I want to see going into this season. You guys remember when I put that video out of my starting offense, I had 2 tight ends. I think 2 tight ends in this offense with the run game, with our 2 elite wideouts in Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon could be a lethal offense in the Big Ten. So that is great news that was been working on at practice yesterday. Hopefully we see a lot of that come to fruition this upcoming season. I think that'll depend on how consistent our offensive line play works and whatnot. But, man, very excited to see the 2 tight end sets. And as well as, Lincoln Riley stepped out. He spoke about Walker Lyons and the fact that he is really having his first offseason. And you can really just see the maturity when you talk about Walker Lyons. Like, he looks to be a lot more physically mature, bigger, stronger. And we've seen him on film, and we see a lot of highlights from this camp of him making some great plays on the ball, with the ball in his hands, making some great catches. And he's a guy with a lot of wiggle at the tight end position as well, man. So super excited for this young tight end group and how we can implement these guys this upcoming season, man, because we got to do it. Our tight ends had 0 touchdowns last year. 0. I think we see a lot more in 2025. Now let's talk this offensive line competition. Very interesting and exciting stuff going on here, in my personal opinion. A few shockers, though. One shocker in particular, right? So last week, I was watching some coaches' interviews, and I hear Coach Luke Huard, come out talking about the offense, talking about the quarterbacks, talking about Jayden Maiava's progression and, his maturation process. And Killian O'Connor comes up, and he talks about Killian O'Connor. He's like, Killian O'Connor's the leader of the group. Killian O'Connor's vocal guy, blah, 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 blah. And when he talks about John Ray Reed, he's like, okay, John Ray Reed, still figuring it out, but definitely a talented kid. And my ears perk up a little bit, but I'm still thinking, though. I'm like, nah, John Ray Reed is, seems like he's still the guy, though. But as time goes on and, news comes out, interviews come out, and you hear people talk about some of these sets in practice and whatnot, it really seems like Killian O'Connor is the guy at center right now, right? And Killian O'Connor proved a lot to me in that Texas A&M bowl game, to be honest with you. Like, I was not too confident, to be honest, when we talk about him starting in that game. And he did an excellent job. He commanded the offensive line, really held it down and did an excellent job. And he's a kid that's extremely smart. And even when I listened to Micah Benuelos yesterday after practice, Micah Benuelos says, he's a great communicator. He's extremely loud. He's a great leader. He knows where everybody's supposed to be. So looks like Killian O'Connor is the guy at the center position right now. Now, I think it is pretty good that if Jean-Ray Reed is a backup, that's a pretty solid backup to have at the center position, right? A guy that came out of Syracuse last year, was the center for, NFL quarterback in Cal McCord, and a Syracuse team that did a really good job, in the ACC. Obviously, the ACC is not the Big Ten, but a great backup at the center position. And, as time goes on, this next upcoming weeks of the season, it seems like these are the two offensive line, configurations that we're really going to kind of see played with. In my last video, I talked about Micah Benuelos really, putting his head down and bidding for that left guard spot. And it seems like it's a battle, right? Just because of the versatility of a guy like Tobias Raymond. Talked about it when I did my offensive stars. I had Tobias Raymond lined up at the left guard spot. I thought that was a possibility, and that was something that I would have liked to have gone with. News came out of camp. Micah Benuelos was looking pretty good, and it seems like these are the two sets of offensive lines we're going to see, with Elijah Page, being the consistent, solid left tackle. The competition between Micah Benuelos and Tobias Raymond at the left guard spot. Seems like Killian O'Connor is going to be the starter at the center spot, man. Just seems to have the grasp of the offense a little bit more than Jean-Ray Reed at this point. Seems to be a little bit more consistent at this point. I really heard there was a bit of a competition at the right guard spot between Alani Noah and Keelan Miller, but I feel like Alani Noah is going to have that down packed at the right guard spot, in my personal opinion. So I have him in both of these sets here. And Justin Taunuu up top seems like he might be bidding for that right tackle spot, especially if Tobias is at the left guard. And then, you have also a situation where Tobias is the right tackle and Micah Benuelos is the left guard. So these are the sets I think we're going to see the first couple of weeks of the season. And I think we're really going to have to see how consistent, who makes the mental errors, who plays the most consistently in week one. And that's how you'll see the shifts, happen and take place. But I'm pretty confident about this offensive line, man. I think all these guys could do it, get it done. Elijah Page, Tobias Raymond, Alani Noah had a lot of experience last year in Big Ten play. And, by the end of the season, they were playing a lot more consistently. And, Killian O'Connor did a great job in the bowl game. Micah Benuelos, like I said in my last video, think of the world of this kid. A big-time prospect coming into the program. Suffered some injuries, but he's here. And he's performing, and coaches have consistently spoken highly of the kid, man. When he's been in practice, he's done a great job. He even talked about in practice, after practice yesterday, that he's cleaned up a lot of the mental errors that he was making last season. So he's elevated his mental game as well as his physical game, strengthened his knees, strengthened the issues that he had physically last season. And Tobias Raymond, his versatility, being able to play a right tackle spot. Stepping in that Michigan game and doing a good job like he did. And in the Texas A&M game as well, right? Doing a great job. So very excited about this offensive line, how the consistency, the fight that these guys can play with headed into 2025. Now let's talk about two of the most exciting pieces on this defensive line, man. Edge Cam Fountain and Jakeem Stewart, who could possibly play inside or outside at 6'6", 290 pounds, incoming freshman. One of the top players in the country coming out of high school last year. Our prize recruits, really next to our quarterback and Hassan Longstreet this previous recruiting cycle. Man, Dan Lynn spoke yesterday. Talks about the fact that Cam Fountain is a completely different player, man. And that's exactly what I want to hear. I think Cam Fountain leads this team in sacks this upcoming season. Showed such natural pass rushing ability last season. Was one of the only guys on the roster to show this ability last season. Made it look easy and showed great discipline as the season went along last year as well, across that edge, right? Not falling for the fake, not falling for the option. Very good technical talent at the edge position. Obviously, athletically, a complete animal at 6'6", 260 pounds, rocking that number 1, man. He's going to be a bad boy this upcoming season. And everybody knows this. This is a guy that everybody's really got their eyes on when it comes to, the defense and the edges right now. Cam Fountain is going to be a big-time player this upcoming season, and very excited to see how he comes out of the gate. He seems to be having a great practice, man. And this is an NFL player in the making, no doubt about it. And I tweeted this out a few days ago as well. When you talk about Jakeem Stewart, I think a freshman All-American season is loading for Jakeem Stewart. And this is particularly why, right? We have so much more depth on the defensive line. Jakeem Stewart's not even slated as a starter right now. Obviously the official depth chart hasn't come out. It's a lot of fans and people like me and people in the media speculating and whatnot. Obviously people are watching practice. I've talked to a couple people at practice and whatnot. But Jakeem Stewart, man, he's got no pressure on him. And it's like, for the first time ever, we have so much depth, man, that Jakeem Stewart may, in the offseason, I'll say, okay, maybe he's going to be on the 2 deep. And I think that's possible. But the kid ain't got no pressure on him. He's going to be able to go out there and ball, right? Maybe line him up on the edge if Cam gets tired. Maybe line him up on the edge if a guy like Anthony Lucas or Braylon Shelby get tired or can't go. Lining him inside, to spell a guy like Devin Tompkins. Like, he ain't got no pressure on him. He just has to go out there and ball. And he has been making plays, man. When you talk to other players on the team, when you talk to offensive linemen, Michael Benuelos yesterday said that Jakeem Stewart is a real one, and he is a young player, and he has been having a great camp, really competing and making plays in practice. Very excited to see these dudes take the field, man. 9 days away. I can't believe we did it, man. These guys are really going to ball out. And this defense, just all the talk coming out of camp is just different from guys that have been on campus 2-3 years. They're like, nah, we're really competing. This is player-led. And the energy is special, man. That's why I got this team winning 10 games. I really believe it. I put my reputation on it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I feel the vibes. And this team and this defense is going to be a very good defense coming into 2025. And last but not least, we got the backers, man. Listen to Eric Gentry speak yesterday. Such a great interview, man. Always brings great energy, smile on my face to hear this guy speak. Been through so much, but such a positive young athlete. Eric Gentry, man, just talks about the fact of him being so mature in his game and really just keying in on the little things at this point to elevate his play on Saturdays, right? Just looking at the offensive line, looking at their stances, kind of determining when the offensive lineman is going to pull, what direction they're going to go, what's a pass, what's a run and whatnot. So very excited to see him come in and perform, man. I think he is going to be our most valuable player on the defensive side of the ball. I think he's going to come in and, start just where he left off, man. Consistently making game-changing plays, man. When you go back and you look at that LSU game, the game-changing plays that he makes. When you go back and look at that Michigan game, obviously we lost the game, but his plays and forcing that fumble put us in position to win that game, man. Really just an incredible talent with length. I could listen to anything. I mean, look back at that Cal game, the play that he made. Multiple plays this kid has made, throughout the years as a USC Trojan. And I think he's going to continue to make big time plays this upcoming season. Very excited to see him, be healthy, finish the season strong, and really get that national recognition that he deserves as a big time talent. And my guy, Elijah Newby, great news, right? We saw him make the switch from linebacker to edge. I was sad about that. A lot of people in the fan base were sad about that. I'm like, man, what is going on? Everybody's like, okay, he's going to be a speed rusher now. He's going to use his speed on the edge. I'm like, we got pretty good edges, man. I don't think we really need Elijah to be on the edge, especially with a bit of a light linebacking room. But the linebacker room seems great, right? Obviously, Desmond Stevens, Eric Gentry and Desmond Stevens are really slated as the starters at this point. Lincoln said that the other day. But Elijah Newby has made the switch back in the linebacker room. And I love it, man. Prototypical size at around 6'3.5", 6'4", around 230 pounds. Kid's got an excellent body. Kid's got excellent length and athleticism. And the spring game 2 years ago, right? The spring game where he came out, he was making plays. I was like, he's a real one, man. And I think he could really make a lot of plays at the linebacker position right now. I'm not worried about the depth. I love Rob Ryan. I think he's going to have these guys right. And I'm very excited to have Elijah back in that room, doing what he did in high school. Really settling in and becoming the best backer he could be. And, being able to give, guys like Eric Gentry, guys like Desmond Stevens a spell if they need it. And just being able to be out on the field at the linebacker position and make plays, man. And that's the video for today, man. Just a fall update. And I wanted to speak on this tweet. I tweeted this out yesterday. Just shouts out, man, to all the subs on this channel. Everybody that follows me on Twitter. I know a lot of you guys on YouTube probably aren't on Twitter. My Twitter is Fight On Preston, mess with me on Twitter. I tweet out obviously a bunch of USC stuff, but we have a great community on Twitter. I started on Twitter, right? I started just tweeting about USC football while I was at work, a year and a half ago, whatever, built a bit of a following on there, decided to start making YouTube videos. And this time last year, I had 0 subs, man. And, the people on YouTube that have constantly propped me up, shouts out to my guy Gabe at the Trojan Blade. Probably, I think him and Tim Prangley were like the first people on YouTube to reach out to me, encourage me, tell me to continue making videos. A couple of my first subscribers on this channel, man. And people that just supported me from day one. People like that, people like USCJ, people like, Like the Torch podcast guys. My guy Carter Sports, my guy Paulie Walnuts. Just shouts out to all y'all, man, to keep me going, to keep the positive energy going, and have my head down. But it's been such a journey, man, and everybody that subbed to the channel, man, I thank you guys so much. It doesn't go unnoticed. That's why I try to do a giveaway anytime, any opportunity I can. I try to give back to my subs any opportunity that I can, because I'm really grateful and happy at the fact that I could talk USC football and, monetize my channel, make a little change while I do it. So y'all are the best, man. Everybody get after it today, man. Today's Thursday. It's almost the end of the week. Just finished the week strong. We 9 days away, and we're 2 days away from college football. So man, very excited times. Get after it, man. Appreciate you guys so much, and fight on. Not so fast. Got to pull a Lee Corso right now. Tune in this Saturday morning, 7:30 a.m. Pacific time, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Pre-games with Paulie and Preston are live pregame show Saturday morning. We're going to be going crazy. We got a bunch of fun segments. We're going to be having a good time. We're going to be talking about USC football. We're going to be talking about all types of college football all across the country. And we got some really fun and cool segments this Saturday morning in a couple of days. It's going to be live on this channel as well as live on Paulie Walnut's channel, Calling All the Shots podcast. So be here or be square. Tap in with us. Alrighty, guys, fight on.